Well, it's a big update news for you today. We're going to be looking through all of the game improvements coming on September 28th. That includes 4 new updated maps, as we've talked about previously in one of my videos on the update news. We're also going to go into all of the new / returning changes that were in the game previously, as well as some actually brand new stuff coming to the game itself. Of course, this will all be timestamped for you to be able to go along the video as to which bits you are most interested in. But of course, let's get into the first thing. Now, this is the tech tree. So obviously, currently we have a vertical tech tree whereby, you go upwards. That will get you through the tiers from 1 to 10 or from 3 to 10 now. But yeah, this one is essentially a horizontal tech tree. It's much easier to kind of navigate through, kind of makes more sense. It's what World of Tanks Blitz and World of Tanks PC have, apart from console. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Console will be returning to the horizontal orientated tech tree. So you'll see it here. From left to right is the tier. So 7 to 10 you can see here, and this is the target P, leads on to the 3 different tanks, and then leads on to the 3 different tier 10s. So that's kind of how it works. Not much more to be talked about, really. It's just basically a cosmetic change, so it's probably easier for you to read. That will be available for all of the tech trees. Don't know how the premium one will look, but, it's a jumble anyway with regards to the premium one. Now, as far as the other changes, one of the biggest ones is, of course, the Mark of Excellence. So no longer will we just have 3 Marks of Excellence. Once you reach 100% on your damage standing in a tank, as I recently did in the Excalibur, you'll actually get 3 gold marks instead of it being the traditional white marks on the British one. I think you get the red marks on the Independents or whatever it is. And Mercenaries, you can see here, they also go gold. So essentially, 4 Marks of Excellence. If you see anyone with it, they have pretty much mastered the vehicle that they're playing in. It is quite possibly the hardest thing you could do in terms of showing off your skill, I guess, in that specific tank that you're playing in. Obviously, it's easier to do it in lower tier vehicles because newer players tend to be playing in the lower tiers. So, of course, if you go up into tier 10, you're going to be finding it a hell of a lot harder to get 100% damage standing because it relies on a lot more things than it does at the low tiers. And, of course, you can club at the low tiers in things like the snake bite or whatever you've chance to actually play in. And, of course, most people at tier 6 and 5 and stuff like that don't actually have equipment. So, even if you put that on, you're at a significant advantage over people at tier 10 that of course have saved up a lot more silver over the period of getting to tier 10. Now, moving on from these Marks of Excellence changes, we have changes to the UI, and there's quite a few different things within this. We've got changes to the actual efficiency and the basically performance report, as well as the garage. So we'll have a look at those now, give my opinion on them, and also I want to hear what your guys' opinion on the new UI within the game, UI being user interface. The game's UI basically getting revamped. So here we go. This is the scoreboard, of course. At the end of the game you can see what it looks like. This one will give you the number of penetrations, the damage you've inflicted, the damage from assistance to tracks, spotting. You also get the critical hits. You've also got incoming damage block spotting, all of the various different things. It now looks a little bit kind of more polished than it was previously. So you've got these kind of customized top banners here. I don't know how it will particularly work within the game, whether it will be smooth transitions between like jumping down and seeing all of the information change. You also have the tank that they're in up here in the actual changes. So I believe that this is kind of how it will be updated. So you'll see a lot more kind of information regarding what you're doing and assistance and stuff like that. So I think that that's always good. Hits as well. That's something that I was missing. Now it shows shots fired, penetrations, critical hits, blah, 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 blah. Really, really useful kind of stuff to have a look at how well you did in the game. And of course, you can do that for a variety of different people within the game, not just yourself. As far as the garage goes, well, we've got a little bit of information. Now we have the plays up to tier 10, and yeah, that's not a massive change in itself, but this is how the garage has changed overall. So you can see in the background of this image that they've actually got a Halloween-y style background. Of course, it's coming up to Halloween, October kind of time within World of Tanks, so I'm sure we'll be getting this background coming fairly soon. Also, we have this kind of outline here, it's turned to like a red kind of area, and you've got a lot more highlighting around some of the things at the bottom. I think it looks a little bit more clean than it did previously. I think it's got a bit more color, makes it sort of look slightly better in my opinion. Of course, you can all have your different opinions, but I think that that's also good. We also have changes to the HUD. The Battle Hub will be getting several updates to help you fight your best battles. So the HUD will use round icons for each base in all game modes except Team Destruction. I don't think that's a massive change, to be honest. A triangle above a tank icon indicates that the tank is at a higher elevation than you. So you can see here that if they're above you, it's going to have an icon. I think that that's kind of self-explanatory if you know the actual map. I guess I think if you're looking at these icons, you're going to be spending too much time looking at this rather than actually sorting out what you're doing. Yes, it's a piece of additional information. Is it a massive change? Probably not, and most players that actually played the game didn't really need this anyway, even if you are a good player, because you generally know where the elevations are going to be, where the tank's particularly going to be in the game. And of course, they have to be spotted for the triangle to even appear, so you can just see them on the screen by looking over there anyway. So it's not a massive change. It's probably not going to be game breaking, but yeah, it's there for anyone that actually looks. Of course, if it has a down arrow, it's going to be that the tank is at a lower elevation than you. So you can see down here that this tank is below, hence why there's a little down arrow on the elevation. To be honest with you, I think that this is going to be really clunky. It's going to get in the way. Sometimes maybe it will lead to some confusion if you're looking too closely at this, thinking, hang on a minute, this guy's on the same level. I think that it's not necessarily a change that's bad, but I just don't think that you need that much information, especially when we've not got things like the last known position of tanks. We'll get onto that later on in the video though, because Wargaming have made a stance on that sort of thing. They've also highlighted a couple of things that they will not be doing within World of Tanks console that we'll look at. Custom games, a lot of information here. We won't go through it. Basically, they've changed some things. You can now have true vision in World War II tanks when you play in the custom games as an option. It's got a room battle chat as well, so you'll be able to have both teams talking to each other during the match. So if you want that to actually be an option, then yeah, it will be. True vision will be on and off, so you can set it as whatever you want. So you could technically play Cold War vehicles without it. And they've basically updated the upgrade tab and the appearance tab of your tanks. So now it just looks better in Wargaming's opinion anyway. Don't really see that this is much of a big change, and to be honest with you, I don't really like the linear vehicle progression whereby, you know, you upgrade a gun and then you have to buy it again when it comes to the next tank. Used to be whereby if the gun was shared between two tanks, if you researched it on one tank, it would actually research it on another. I would have preferred that system. I think World of Tanks PC and World of Tanks Blitz have it, apart from console's version, which is kind of really annoying. I don't see why they made that change. I feel like it's just to increase the amount of XP that you need to fully kit out all of the tanks in the line, and then you're just going to be left with having to either spend more money on actually getting free XP, which is probably why Wargaming do it, so that you buy premium time, so that you have to get that more XP by getting the premium time as opposed to just playing for free. Yeah, kind of one of those probably things that they do so that it kind of is in the background of your mind. Well, I could just pay some money and get there faster. So yes, not particularly one of my favourite things about Wargaming, but there we go. Appearance tab, obviously just a actual quality of life sort of thing. You'll basically be able to have a skin tab rather than just the camos, where the skin is usually at the middle or the start of the line of the camouflage is neater, looks better. No problems there. Replay browser. Each replay's thumbnail image will now display the game mode, and it also have these team lists here. Not particularly a fan of this, to be honest with you. There's a lot more things I want to actually see in the replay functionality, like the actual reticle being what it is in the game, because if a tank fires when you're in the zoomed in mode, there's just smoke and you can't actually see what you're looking at, and it doesn't actually represent where you're actually firing or anything like that. It's really, really bad, and if you actually want to go back and watch one of your replays, you can't really do it to record it to a decent enough quality. So for people that, you know, stream the game and make videos, it's really, really bad. The replay browser is pretty much pointless unless you want to get a screenshot or a thumbnail image, as in like a thumbnail image for YouTube. Yeah, it's good because you can just turn the HUD off and then take a picture, essentially. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much pointless. And I guess if you want to look through where your positioning is in the game and learn from it, then yeah, you could do that. But I don't know. Don't think it's that much use anyway in the replay functionality unless they actually bring in those kind of changes that are needed. Don't know if Wargaming are looking into that. Probably not. It's not going to make them any money, and they'll probably focus on actually sorting out some other issues over anything like that within the game, which is kind of unfortunate. But then again, guess they are a business, as everyone always mentions about Wargaming, but there we go. Community update stream, so we have a couple of other notes to look through. This bit is actually quite important as to what Wargaming are going to be doing next, and a couple of statements from Wargaming. I don't really particularly like the statements from Wargaming, so I guess that's just another extra. This week, of course, we had the M4A1 FL10, the terrible French tier 6 medium. It's pretty awful, to be honest with you. There's no reason I'd really ever suggest playing this over something like the AMX12T, and considering the AMX12T is actually free and you don't have to pay anything for it, yeah. I don't know if I'll do a video on the M4A1 FL10, maybe potentially sometime soon, but it's just an awful tank, to be honest with you. Eastern Sniper Challenge, Earn Challenge for the Yahtzee, then yeah, it's a pretty decent one. Don't know if I'll be able to complete it before, as I've just started work, but yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but there we go. That's the Yahtzee WZ121G FT, and that's of course free for anyone that wants to actually earn it. You have to get some points. I don't know how many it is now. I think, no, not points, it's actually XP, so you just have to get like 160,000 XP off the top of my head. Tier 10 Silver Challenge, really decent all weekend. Started this morning as of the post of this video, which is yesterday. So yeah, definitely a good challenge to be able to get XP from. Big boosters bundles in 25 or 50 packs on sale. So essentially, if you want to boost your way all the way to tier 10 using the money that you have in your pocket, then yeah, you can do that with the boosters. Do I recommend it? I don't know, probably not, because they're quite expensive to actually pay for within the game. Next week, Premium Tanks for Free XP event, which is good. Cosmetics and Medal Earn Challenge for Oktoberfest, which is good. 50% off cosmetic sale, which is also really nice. I guess if you want to actually customize your tank, so I'm guessing that appearances, inscriptions, skins, stuff like that, all of that will be actually 50% off. We also have some new World War II earnable skins, so that is for the VK3601H and the Tiger II, which we'll look at the end of this video. But stay tuned for the rest of the information though. Additional skin sold in the bundle is the Waffenträger E100. Of course, the tier 10, probably the best looking one I expect, is going to be the one that you have to pay for. First to Orbit Challenge to commemorate the launch of Sputnik, so I don't know what you'll get for that. Probably just a medal or a badge and some silver and premium consumables. That's usually how it goes with these challenges. Tanks Reforged. So this is quite a big one for any of you that have the Swedish TDs. Of course, they've been changed. They're going to have manual activated siege mode. So instead of having the automatic one that they currently have on the tier 8 to 10, they'll actually have to do it yourself, which is essentially better because, you know, you can turn it off and on, whether or not you want it or whether you don't want it. You can kind of make that decision yourself. Yes, you'll have to remember that, and it will be a little bit weird to get used to currently, but I think that is a good change anyway. Also included are usability improvements such as a reduced siege transition time, so changing between the two modes is going to take you less time. I think I don't know what the times were previously, but they'll probably be changed from maybe 4 seconds or whatever it was to probably like 3.2. Don't know, those are just made up values, but I expect it'll be around that range. And of course, fewer dispersion penalties from probably being in the non-siege mode, so you won't be having an awful dispersion like you previously had where you were on the move and stuff like that. Lower tier vehicles will mainly see improvements to their reload and accuracy, so essentially the tiers like 3 to 8 are going to be having some upgrades to their reload and their accuracy, which is not particularly anything bad. I don't think that they're going to be that overpowered. Maybe the Swedish TDs are going to become more used. I think that they could potentially be really good within the game with this new meta, but of course we'll have to see what the statistics are when they get released on Tuesday. Talked about. So this is kind of a big section of the video, I guess. talking about Wargaming's kind of stance, what they're currently looking at, and we've got quite a few new things that they're looking at as opposed to what we previously had. Of course, we talked over the 7.2 improvement, so this is update 7.2. We've also got a stance from Wargaming about muffled shot, so basically it is working correctly, but they're thinking about actually updating the description so it's more clear as to what it actually does, because in my opinion, what I think it is that, you know, when you're stationary, you might have 100 meter dispersion. Say when you fire, it goes up by 50 because you fired. That will give you 150 meters still concealment as opposed to the 100 for example's sake. If you put on muffled shot, because it has 35% decrease to your still concealment negatives when you actually fire. So say if, you know, that 50 increase that it would have when you fired, instead now it will actually be doing 35% less. So essentially you'll probably be looking in the region of like 36, probably somewhere around there, well 35, call it for argument's sake, meters increase, so you actually have 135 still concealment as opposed, when you fire that is, as opposed to what you had previously, which was 150. Of course, the lower the value the better, or the further away or the closer you can actually be to the opponent when you fire, and remain undetected, essentially. Don't know if that's how Wargaming see it, but that's kind of what I got from what it actually looks like. And so, yeah, you can fire at people closer than you would if you didn't have it, if that makes sense. Green Thumb update, a fix is currently being reviewed, so apparently Green Thumb actually doesn't work, which is really, really good, because I don't think that that anything's been done with this since the update 6.0 came out. So if it doesn't actually work, then yeah, it's been in the game bad or not working completely entirely as it should for about a year now. That is really awful. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to deal with it, because, you know, that's kind of our stance as a player when you play World of Tanks console. Now, clan update. This is quite an actual big one, especially for me, because I've got a clan that everyone's kind of always asks about. Basically, what they're doing now is setting up ways to account for people leaving and joining clans in stats and adding time. So there's going to be a clan leaderboard, essentially. So that's going to show you, you know, who's in your clan, who's the best player in your clan, who's got the most damage, who plays the highest tier. I expect all of that kind of statistics, where it just shows you like win rates, maybe shows you how much the average damage of the clan is, what the average win rate of the clan is, anything like that I think is going to be shown. I expect that you'll actually have the top clans listed within the game that will be able to actually have its own tab, so you can look at the clan leaderboards in the game. So they'll basically just show you who the best clans are in the game. Don't know if mine will actually be on there, but yeah, I guess if you wanted to look up their clan, maybe you could. Currently planning on releasing it first with overall clan statistics and refine. So essentially what I mean by that is that they won't have personal statistics like mine or yours when you actually go into the clan stats. Instead, it will just be the whole clan combined into one, and it will show you, say, 52% overall win rate of your clan with X amount of damage standing, with X amount of spotting, with X amount of assistance, and X amount of damage caused / received as the entire clan, not just a single person. Now, there is also a competitive update, so actively being worked upon. The initial leaderboard test went great. Second test is in progress. So essentially what this is that they will just show a leaderboard of the top players in the game, and you'll be able to actually see what that is, I'm assuming. I don't know how it will work, but I think Wargaming are looking into it, and it will maybe come out soon, don't know, but they're scheduling events for competitive clan events, I expect, fairly soon. Commander customization will return at the end of this year, so Wargaming have said that the the commander customization, so that's essentially crew voices, what your crew emblem looks like, so essentially what your commander is, and also the name, the voice, the pictures, and the skills first. So I think that What will be good is if they actually allowed us to pick one skill that we could respec as opposed to respecing the entire crew. Really is annoying having the fact that you have to spend 90 gold to change one perk. Really is annoying. It used to be that you spend 10 gold per perk that you wanted to change and you could swap out just one perk. I don't know if Wargaming are doing it so that essentially you should make another crew for a different vehicle so that you won't get charged 90 gold every time you want to change one of your perks. So then you go out and buy a premium commander. It's probably in that region, if basically what they are going to do is say, well, we're not changing that ever. You will just have to pay 90 gold, or you can essentially buy a commander with 3 skill perks, get to 9 skill quicker, and then you don't have to spend that 90 gold. I don't know. It's just Wargaming. We never really know what they're doing. And so, we'll just have to wait and see how this kind of commander customization comes out. Cold War Era 2 light tank issues. So there's a lot, and I mean a lot of issues with the Cold War Era 2 light tanks. Of course, Armadillo. Armadillo, purely broken, doesn't work in the game, ruins it considering it's a premium tank. They're basically thinking about rebalancing the tank itself. So if you've got an Armadillo, if you are playing in it, if you're thinking about buying an Armadillo, maybe hold off just a little bit, because the Armadillo may be getting rebalanced. It may not be as overpowered, or likely overpowered as it is right now. Maybe it will have higher still concealment, so you won't be able to just go like 40 meters from someone and not get spotted. Just think about that if you're thinking about buying an Armadillo. That'll mean the game will be a lot nicer for the 90% of players that don't own an Armadillo in Cold War. Also talked about the Panzer V-4, so you know how utterly broken, ridiculous, overpowered, whatever your word is for the Panzer V-4, a tier 6 heavy essentially that can go 65 kilometers an hour at tier 5. Oh, what were Wargaming thinking? It's literally got more health than tier 6 heavy tanks. It's a medium tank. It has a panther hull. It can go 65. It has a fairly decent DPM gun. If you fire premium, you'll be able to pen pretty much everything you come up against. There's no reason that this tank should ever be at tier 5, and a change to it would be greatly appreciated by everyone and anyone that actually plays low tiers and not just wants to seal club. Anyone that gets annoyed about it, it's basically because they bought the Panzer V-4 and they're getting annoyed because they're no longer going to be able to club at tier 5. So if you see any comments in the comment section down below saying, oh, my Panzer V-4, it's not broken anymore, well, you've been able to take advantage of it for the last 7 years since it's been in the game, so don't go crying in the comment section saying, oh, the Panzer V-4 isn't broken, they shouldn't change it. Well, stop playing it then, play something different, because you've had long enough playing an overpowered, completely broken tank. Hopefully Wargaming do this. It's probably a Wargaming response. Oh, we know that the Panzer V-4 is broken, but we can't really do anything because we sold it to people and we can't change the statistics, otherwise they'll get annoyed. Yeah, but what about like the 90% of players that get annoyed and stop playing the game because there's things like the Panzer V-4 in the game? So think about that. It just ruins the low tier experience. When people like this, I played with my friends. We went in a 3-man platoon. I think we played something like 25 games without losing in a 3-man platoon of Panzer V-4s. Literally 25 games in a row where we won and we didn't lose. I think my friend Ted, he had like a 32 games with 100% win rate. Was just ridiculous. Utterly broken. Not a balanced tank whatsoever. Definitely needs changing within the game. World War II maps in Cold War and Cold War maps in World War II. Pain God talked about this in length. Let's just hope that they get removed. Essentially, World War II maps should just be World War II. They were designed that way. Cold War maps should be Cold War. They were designed that way. I think as time goes on, that'll kind of be more of the case, and they'll probably remove the Cold War maps from the World War II map rotation, because essentially, when you bring in more maps, you don't need those other maps so that you get a bit more diversity. I think that's always good. Marks of Excellence adjustment. So, when the Marks of Excellence changes came in last time, whereby everyone's Mark of Excellence went down by 5%, that's not going to be the case anymore. You'll be able to actually, it was basically that Marks of Excellence, it actually took into account the map that you played. So essentially, if you're playing in something like an artillery on Himmelsdorf, you wouldn't get as significant a disadvantage on your Marks of Excellence if you had a bad game on Himmelsdorf, as opposed to, getting Prokhorovka with an artillery where there's no cover for anyone, essentially. That was I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I dislike it, but it definitely helped with regards to if you're wanting to get Marks of Excellence and you got a terrible map, that wasn't your fault. You can't do anything about the map rotation unless you kind of abuse the map rotation mechanics, but that's been changed now anyway. But yeah, that was kind of what the game will, and they're never going to be returning it so that it takes into account what the map is that you're using. So yeah, it will just be a standard value. Whether or not you get the worst map for your tank or the best map, it really doesn't matter. As long as you do the certain amount of damage, it will be okay. But if you do less on that terrible map, you will go down on your Marks of Excellence just as much as if you had a terrible game on the other map. Yeah, it's just kind of that way now. Wheel vehicles are being tested internally, so that's always good. Wheel vehicles will be coming in to the game. Don't know what my opinion is on that. I think, light tanks now go like 85 anyway, so it's not really going to make any difference, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel. As long as they don't have the speed boost equipment, I am fine with it. I guess at this point, I don't know, I've just got to try them out. If they're overpowered, then yeah, there's not much we can do about that. Just Wargaming need to realistically think about this. Don't release a premium wheeled vehicle that is overpowered and then have that problem with that they have with the Panzer 5.4 and the Armadillo. Let's just not do that. Upgrading the base season pass, this is something we want to do, but it's a long way off at this time. So essentially people want more stuff for free with the base season pass where you don't actually have to, or do they mean that you have to, the 2,000 gold season pass? But essentially that's a really good offer anyway. So I don't know what they mean by upgrading it. Maybe we'll just see what Wargaming are thinking. Pain God had an interesting Halloween themed event. Yeah, don't know what they're thinking. And then of course we did mention that the last known position from PC, it's hotly debated internally and it's not expected in the near future, if ever. Now, I think that this is actually a really nice piece of information, having the last known position of enemy tanks so that, when someone goes undetected, everyone on the map will know where they previously were. Of course, you can use that to your advantage. If you get spotted in a specific location that you want to know, that you want the opponents to actually know that you were spotted in, then you move away into a position that the enemies aren't going to be expecting because they thought you were in that location. Then you can use it to your advantage, and potentially if you're on the flip side, you can use it to your advantage. If you know where someone was last spotted, they're most likely going to be around that position, and then you can think, is it a light tank? Have they got the mobility to move from that position without getting spotted? Have they got the kind of speed? Have they got the vision range? Have they got the camouflage? You kind of have to think about all of that, and I think it's a good change. Wargaming debating it internally. Basically, they don't want anyone's opinion on it. They're not going to even think about what your opinion is until they've basically thought about it themselves. And to be honest, I don't think this will ever be coming into console. So if you're thinking that will be, then no, probably never. Should it be in the game? I think it would be good. I don't see any problems with that. Platoon sizes, no plans to go back on this. There will never be 5-man platoons. I think for clans, it's annoying, but for the actual balance of the game and for the majority of players that actually just play on their own, I think that's also good, because it's no fun when you come up against a platoon of 5 Panzer 5.4s, let alone 3 Panzer 5.4s. Yeah, it's just not balanced when people pick broken and overpowered tanks that, the matchmaker can't actually match them up against the same tank, so it leads to the imbalance. And I just don't think it's good. I think that having 3-man platoons is fine. It's more than enough to be able to actually have decent games. And I just don't think that, yes, the small minority of clan players that actually, want to platoon in 5-mans, compared to the 95% of players that actually just play the game as a single player, I just don't think that you're going to ever really get that balance, and that will probably never come back into the game. World War II HUD is with the team, which will eventually design this. So the World War II HUD is not actually designed. It's not even in the process of design. It's just with the team which will eventually design this. So it's basically been given to them as a task. Whether or not they've even started is unlikely. But there we go. It will be coming back into the game. The World War II HUD is coming back. So there we go. Obviously, if you want to check out any more information or the actual news article itself, you can check it out on What Console's Twitch. So if you just type in on the internet, What Console Twitch stream, it will come up with their previous videos from basically the latest stream, and you can have a look through Wargaming themselves talking about this. Of course, I'm just giving like a brief overview of each thing, explaining it, kind of giving my own opinion, I guess. And of course, you can leave your own opinions in that scoreboard or comment section even. What am I on about? I'm having a bit of a brain fart here. But there we go. Yeah, leave your opinions on the comment section down below and let me know what you think about all of this. We'll have a look at the images here right at the end, showing kind of basically what those skins are for the Tiger 2. Looks really nice. I think that this is good. It's free, of course, with the earnable operation coming in on Tuesday the 28th. And then we have the VK3601H, which looks nice as well. And although it is a tier 6, you'll probably never really use the skin, but it will be nice if you ever do decide to go down to that tier and play the tank. Of course, Tiger 2 is really, really nice. And I'm sure maybe I'll jump back in it for the skin and stuff like that to showcase what the tank can do. Other than that, I hope you had a great day so far. And of course, if you're watching this on the weekend of release, hopefully you have a great weekend, and I hope that you have a great weekend or week next week. And of course, let me know in the comment section down below all your thoughts, and thanks very much for watching. If you want to check out any other gameplay content for World of Tanks console, then you can in the video on screen right now. Other than that, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.